Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today for the Henry Ford Health Apprenticeship Spotlight. This week, from November 17th through the 23rd, 2024, marks the 10th annual National Apprenticeship Week. And this year's theme, 10 Years of Engagement, Expansion, and Innovation, is in recognition of the fact that since the National Apprenticeship Week's inception, literally thousands of events have allowed countless individuals to learn about the life-changing aspects that the registered apprenticeship has had and continues to have for so many job seekers and employers. National Apprenticeship Week is a nationwide celebration where employers, industry representatives, labor organizations, community-based organizations, workforce partners, educational institutions, and federal, state, and local government agencies host events to showcase the success and value of registered apprenticeship for strengthening our economy by developing a highly skilled workforce to meet industry needs, creating pathways for career seekers to catapult into good jobs, and advancing racial and gender equity. National Apprenticeship Week gives registered apprenticeship sponsors the opportunity to showcase their programs, facilities, and apprentices in their community. So this and more information about apprenticeships can be located at apprenticeship.gov's website. My name is Nasha Ely. I'm a business relations consultant with the Business Network Division at the Michigan Department of Labor and Economic Opportunity in Michigan Rehabilitation Services. I'll be your moderator for this session. I'm a woman with shaved hair on the right of my head and braids on the left. I have on brownish glasses and I'm wearing a brown striped sweater with the Leo and MRS logo behind me on a bluish green tinted screen. Today, we will be discussing several apprenticeship opportunities offered by Henry Ford Health. And my guest today for this apprenticeship spotlight is Sharia Thomas. I had to find you on the screen, a representative from Henry Ford Health. And I'm going to pass this on to her, and I'm going to pass this on to her in 1 second, and she will begin the session. We do have a little bit of housekeeping. We ask that you please exercise patience, especially as it relates to technology. If you have any questions, please put that in the Q&A. There will be a time at the end of today's session to answer questions in the Q&A. If you do need captioning to participate, you can do that on your end, clicking on the More tab at the top of the screen, where 3 buttons are located. And you will then go to turn on live captions for captioning on your side. And I'm going to turn it over to Sharia for additional information.
Thank you, Nasha.
Thank you.
Is it okay if I share my screen?
Yes.
Please let me know when you can see my screen.
We see it. It is in, it's not in slideshow, it's in presentation mode.
Perfect. We're good now?
Yes.
Okay. I hope that I did the right thing to share my sound when we get there. Good afternoon. My name is Sharia Thomas with Henry Ford Health. I am part of our Strategic Workforce Development and Planning team. Oops. There we go. I'm going to talk a little bit about Henry Ford Health. However, I think it's easier if one of our favorite people in the state of Michigan tells it for us. Please let me know when you're able to hear it. Was everyone able to hear that great voice that we all know so well?
No, nothing's playing on our end, Sharia.
Oh, no, you didn't hear it?
No, I thought you were
All
still
right.
trying to get it on.
Nope, it says I have share sound on. Well, that's okay. I'll drop it in the chat. The wonderful voice that we all love so much is our great head coach of the Detroit Lions, Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell talks about how we go for it. And so I will drop it in the chat so you'll be able to see that. But with it, let's see. There we go. I dropped it in the chat. We'll talk a little bit about who we are. We'll talk about what we do. We'll talk about our great organization and all the places we are across the state of Michigan. We are a award-winning organization. With that being said, we are actually one of Becker's healthcare top places to work. We are also a veteran-friendly employer. We are silver level for 2024. Our goal is to be gold by 2026. We have also been named America's Newsweek top places to work for diversity in healthcare. I want to talk just really quick about our strategic plan as an organization. We are looking to engage, we're looking to innovate, and we look to grow. Boy, have we grown since October 1st. Our team and workforce development actually sits in that engage bucket, where we want to make sure that we are the premier destination for education and talent, that we are providing a safe and inclusive work environment, and that we are enabling the development of all extraordinary careers. I know there's some questions about where are we? We are just about everywhere in Michigan right now. As of October 1st, we have 8 new hospitals, bringing our total up to 13 hospitals in the state of Michigan with over 550 clinical sites. We are in Wayne. We are in Wayne, Macomb, Oakland County, Southeast Michigan, Jackson, Livingston, and Fenton. This one talks about, I know you won't be able to see it, so I'll be actually just putting it in the chat. We are in the process of developing and expanding our footprint in the state of Michigan. We have our broken ground on 2 different locations. One will be our Destination Grand, which is a new patient tower for our Detroit location. And then we also have another construction that is in progress, and I'll put the YouTube clip in the chat. The other one is expanding our research. We have a 30-year agreement with Michigan State University where we are actually building a joint healthcare research facility, which will be directly across the street from the Pistons Performance Center. So if you know where the Pistons practice facility is, if you've been in that area, it's actually right down the street from University Prep High School as well. We are doing some things over there, building a brand new research facility. We have a lot of partnerships within the state of Michigan, and again, these partnerships that I'm going to highlight are just a snippet of some of them. I don't have enough slides to be able to talk about all the partnerships that our department works with, but I like to highlight just a few. We work with all of our Michigan Works offices. We work with Detroit Regional Chamber, Oakland Schools, West Grand Boulevard Collaborative, the City of Detroit, City of Dearborn, Urban Alliance. We work with our Michigan Rehabilitation Services. For schools, we have partnerships and discounts available to our team members for Davenport University, University of Detroit Mercy, Ohio University, Madonna University, Mott Community College, Wayne State, Michigan State, West Shore, Kaplan, Michigan State, which we just talked about, Henry Ford College, OU as well. We work with our partners at our Michigan Works Oakland County offices for Oakland 80. We also have partnerships in Jackson, whether it's our Michigan Works Southeast Jackson location, Jackson College. We work very closely with our Detroit Public School District. We work with Macomb Intermediate District, L'Anse Creuse Public Schools, Lansing Community College. Again, these are just snippets of some of the organizations that we work with. Without our partnerships, we would not be able to do any of our things that we have for our apprentices. And a little bit about what is an apprenticeship. An apprenticeship, we like to say, is an earn while you learn. All of our apprenticeships are Department of Labor approved, so they are registered apprenticeships with the Department of Labor. What we're allowed to do with our apprenticeships in healthcare is really give our team members, internal and external, the opportunity to grow and learn the position while they're earning. So for instance, we'll kind of talk a little bit about some of the ones that we currently have, and then I'll give you a sneak peek at some that we have in the works. For example, we have a medical assistant apprenticeship, a surgical technologist, and eye care assistant training program. For our medical assistant apprenticeship, it starts at $16 an hour. For this one, you have to already be enrolled in a 2-year program. For this one, you'll get to come on site at Henry Ford Health. This is for outpatient, so our ambulatory sites, where we'll give you supportive services for books and scrubs, and then we also help pay for a portion of your final year of college tuition. Our surgical tech apprenticeship is actually for our incumbent team members currently. However, we are working for the next year in 2025. We will actually expand that to our external team, potential team members. We have an eye care assistant program. I like to explain this one a little bit because there's two types of professions in your eye care. There's ophthalmology, which is the medicine of the eye. So if you need LASIK, or maybe you have like glaucoma, or you have macular degeneration, or anything that relates to the medicine of the eye, that is going to be ophthalmology. We also have optometry, which is where we go to get our glasses, right? If we have contacts, or you kind of go to a retail shop, we have Optimize, and that is their optometry side. Our eye care assistant is actually ophthalmology. So you'll be working with a ophthalmologist in the clinic setting, kind of really working to taking care of our patients. With our eye care assistant training program, you actually would graduate at the end of the 12 months with your certification in eye care. And that is for ophthalmology, it is through the abbreviation or certifying board is called JACAPO. It is actually a industry recognized certification as well. This is one of the other things that we do in our apprenticeships is not only do we look at where you would start in the apprenticeship, but we like to also develop a career path on where you could end. So for example, with this eye care one, you would actually start as an eye care assistant, and then you get your certification. And then you could go from a certification, and then you decide that you really think the eye is super cool and you want to be an ophthalmic photographer. Well, you can go from a 1 to a 2, and then you can get promoted to a 2A. Or maybe you decide, I don't want to take pictures of eyes, but I want to go a certified eye care assistant, and then I want to be a certified ophthalmic tech. So you can go from a 1 to a 3, and then you can go into leadership and become a 4. Or you can go from a 1 to a 5. You can be an ophthalmic medical technologist, or you can be an ophthalmic imaging trainer, or you can be just an ophthalmic trainer as a whole, or you can kind of go all the way up to being an ophthalmology manager. We also have a nurse assistant apprenticeship. With our nurse assistant apprenticeship, it actually starts at $16 an hour. And with this apprenticeship opportunity, it is going to be in our inpatient setting. So you'll be working in one of our hospitals. We actually pay for you to go to your training course. We also pay for you to get your certification as a certified nurse assistant. And we make sure you're very well prepared for that. It is also a 12-month program. I love this slide because it really talks to you if you're interested in nursing and you're like, what are the opportunities in nursing? The sky's the limit. This is just a snippet of some of the opportunities that we have available in nursing. For example, you would come in as a nurse assistant, and then you become a nurse assistant apprentice, or you can become a medical assistant apprentice. And then you would kind of go into those roles after your 12-month apprenticeship. And then you can decide, I want to go and I want to become an LPN, or you can go right into being a nurse resident or a graduate nurse. And then from that, you can decide if you want to do inpatient or outpatient, or if you want to be an educator, or if you want to go into research, or if you want to go into leadership. The sky's the limit in nursing. And I love this slide because it kind of shows you all the different pathways that you can take in nursing. Another apprenticeship that we have is pharmacy tech. Our pharmacy tech apprenticeship is something that we have relaunched this year, and it's a really cool opportunity because we actually help you get your state of Michigan pharmacy tech licensure. We pay for it. It is a 12-month program where you are in a classroom setting for 16 weeks, but you're earning while you're learning, so you're still working in a pharmacy setting. At the end of that 16 weeks, we help you actually pass your pharmacy tech license, and you're working in that job as a pharmacy tech apprenticeship for the remainder of the time. Once you have completed that apprenticeship, you then have the opportunity to stay in that tech role, or as we talked about earlier with career pathways, there's other opportunities in which you can go. So you start as a pharmacy tech apprentice, and then you become a pharmacy technician. Or once you've been in that pharmacy technician, you decide, I want to go on the inpatient route because there's more things that you do as it relates to pharmacy drugs and the inpatient setting. So you could go from a 2 to a 4, or you can go from a 2 to a 3, or you can go from a 2 to a 4 to a 5. And then you can kind of scale up. We do have a current pharmacist who has started as a 2 and is now a pharmacist with our organization. That just kind of shows you again that the sky's the limit of where you can go. When you start here, you're not just starting in a particular, you're not starting a job, but you're actually in the process of developing your career. These are our websites. So if you have questions or if you're looking to apply for apprenticeships or opportunities, it would be henryfordcareers.com or henryford.com/careers. The other piece that I like to highlight is that if you have questions, you can always, and if maybe we'll set up some time for us to have questions next, but if you wanted to jot down our email address, it is careergrowthanddevelopment@hfhs.org. You can also go to Henry Ford Careers or henryford.com and you can actually look at our careers page. And we do have an apprenticeship bucket where you can actually click on that link and that page will tell you the apprenticeships that we currently have. And as we continue to add apprenticeships, you will see them listed on that website as well. Nasha, would you like to open with any questions?
Yes, it looks like our Q&A feature for some reason is not working. So we will be taking questions from the chat along with some other questions that have come up. So I know you spoke about it briefly with some very specific examples, but can you just in general talk a little bit about advancement at Henry Ford Health after an apprenticeship, not necessarily on the same path, but if someone gets their foot in the door in one opportunity, what could it potentially look like for them to advance into maybe another area in the hospital?
So do you mean not coming in on an apprenticeship route?
No, let's say coming in under the apprenticeship route as a medical assistant, but
Okay.
then after that's complete and working a bit, they have interest in an RN. What could that potentially look like?
Absolutely. So if it's okay, I'd like to go back and share our career path that we have for nursing. And let me go back to this because I think it really is a great opportunity to show some of the things that we do have for the nursing side. If I come in and I've been a medical assistant, right? And then I decide I want to go into being an RN, right? So I've done my medical assistant apprenticeship and then I've been a medical assistant for about a year. And then I decide I don't want to get my LPN because I want to practice type of my license, right? Which would be an RN. You would it's essentially enroll in a 2 or 4 year institution. As I mentioned, we do have discounts that are offered to our team members. So you're already a team member. You decide I want to go to University of Detroit Mercy. University of Detroit Mercy offers a scholarship to Henry Ford team members if they're getting their BSN. Okay. And then they would be able to kind of navigate your way through. So if you wanted to decide if you wanted to go inpatient or if you wanted to go outpatient, which is essentially ambulatory, that is a route in which you can take. We do offer tuition reimbursement, so you'll be able to take advantage of that option as well.
Thank you.
And just so you know, because a medical assistant does require that 2 year degree, I always encourage folks, you probably just want to go and get your BSN. Just because you've already had that 2 years of experience, you may be able to use that 2 years as kind of your prereqs and then you just go and get your BSN. By getting your BSN, you're working your top of licensure, which will be able to assist you as you kind of want to further your career, because a lot of the positions kind of further down this line does require some higher education.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So there's very specific questions about some programs. So for now, we're going to
Sure.
stick with a little more overall information, and then we'll get into the specifics of the programming. So if you do have those very specific program questions, don't leave and make sure you put the questions in the chat. We are going to get to them, okay? Just overall as an industry, what kind of challenges is the healthcare industry facing, which now an apprenticeship can fill that role or help resolve?
Absolutely. Apprenticeships are a really great opportunity for the employer and and the team member. For us, it really gives us the opportunity to get folks who are interested in having a career in healthcare and having that opportunity where they may not have been able to get in the past, where some positions require you to have a certification or things like that. With that being said, an apprenticeship allows you to kind of earn while you're learning. You're getting that experience. We know sometimes we will see, how am I expected to get the position if I don't have the experience? Well, the apprenticeship will allow you to do that.
Thank
With
you.
the team member, it also gives you the opportunity to you're getting your schools paid for. You're getting a portion of your tuition paid for where you're not able to go into debt, right? I see a lot of questions that are popping up in the chat referring to student loan debt. Well, there's other opportunities that are offered. We do, as I mentioned, have tuition reimbursement. We would connect you with our Michigan Works partners. There's opportunities with Michigan Reconnect, Detroit Promise, and a lot of other opportunities and organizations that we connect with to minimize the amount of student loan debt that our team members would have.
Thank you, Sharia.
No problem.
Um, if you can you give us information about how the apprenticeship program is aligned with current trends and needs in the healthcare industry?
Absolutely. So nursing is one of those things that we're always going to need, right? And there has been a shortage in healthcare positions since the pandemic, right? With the nursing assistant apprenticeship, it really gives you a springboard into developing your nursing career. Same thing with surgical tech. We have a surge tech apprenticeship. Surge tech is one of those where we're seeing not seeing a ton of people kind of wanting to get into it. So that is an opportunity to help fill those gaps. Radiology is another one. I didn't have that listed, but it is a one that we have started this year as well. We have a radiological tech apprenticeship where we are taking some people who are interested in radiology and beginning their career pathway. So we're taking some of these positions that we're seeing a high need for at our organization, but also some of our competitors are also having some of the same issues and doing the same things, where we're taking these critical roles that are needed to make sure that our patients are taken care of correctly and safely, where we're able to do that, and we're giving potential team members the opportunity to career path along the way.
And you answered most of this question, but it sounds like I will speak for Henry Ford specifically, is looking at the needs that you have as an organization, but these seem to be spread across just the industry as a whole.
Absolutely,
But
yes.
are there like specific areas within healthcare that also have a high demand, like geriatrics or children's health or mental health or surgical? Or is it kind of just a universal overarching demand in healthcare?
So I will tell you that behavioral health is something that Henry Ford Health is absolutely really investing in. We are in December, actually, so next month we will actually be opening our new behavioral health hospital. It will sit on the site of West Bloomfield campus. It will be the largest behavioral health inpatient hospital in the state of Michigan with 192 beds. Or the capacity of 192 beds. So that is something that we have taken and we have been very diligent about in making sure that that is an area that we continue to grow in our organization. And there are other opportunities, kind of like you mentioned, like radiology, surgical tech. We're looking at the needs, not only and that needs within our organization, but also some of the things that people are interested in. When I talk to team members or I talk to students or potential talent, and I ask them, what are you interested in? Some of them are interested in medical billing, where we're looking at expanding some opportunities for medical billing. Folks are interested in, how can I get into healthcare if I want to be a nurse? Well, that's the nurse assistant apprenticeship or medical assistant apprenticeship, things like that.
Alrighty, thank you. How does the program measure the apprentices' progress and success?
We team with ELAC, which is out of the University of Michigan Social Work School, with setting up different metrics for success. We know that 92% of apprentices who stay throughout their 12 months, we retain them for 3, 4, 5, 6 years. We have folks who have started an eye care assistant in 2021 and they're still with us at Henry Ford Health. Whether they're in ophthalmology or they've graduated to another opportunity, they are still with our organization. So we do see that retention rate with them. How do we measure? We also sit with our apprenticeships. We check on them every 30 days. We make sure that they are doing okay. We also have supportive services. So if they're in need of something, if they are we know that life happens to a lot of us. So we have resources where we can help them internally, or we also have resources that we could potentially help them external with some of our partners as well.
Thank you, Sharia. And then another question is, how are the apprenticeships or are the apprenticeships tailored to individual learning needs and career goals?
They are they are for individual learning needs. We understand that everyone learns differently. That's why I'll give an example for our pharmacy talk one. It is a 16-week course, but it is a very immersive course. It is hands-on, it is visual, it is all of the ways in which people learn. And then we also meet with our instructors of each of the courses, whether it's our nurse assistant or pharmacy tech. We meet with them directly to know what are we missing? What do our team members need? How can we help? How can we support? And we work through all of that together. I missed the second part of your question.
Career goals, but you've been addressing that. So how
Yeah,
does
we
the
career
apprenticeship,
path.
yeah.
Yes. So what we do, our career growth and development at hfhs.org, and we also sit and we do career pathing with team members. So for example, if I actually just had a conversation with two people before this call where I had one was a leader who was interested in growing her career into doing something else. Another one was someone who is entry level in their environmental services, and they're like, what can I do to grow? So we have these conversations and we help them develop a career path, whether it's fixing their resume, whether it's looking at schools, certifications, micro credentialing, all of those things to help them as they grow their career at Henry Ford Health.
Okay. Thank you. Now we have quite a few questions that you've been addressing some as we've been going through, but that are a little more specific to some of the very specific apprenticeships that you talked about. And I'm going to start with those. One of the questions is, what if someone already has participated in like a medical assistant apprenticeship? What might it look like for them to be in an apprenticeship for medical assistant?
Department of Labor only allows you to do one apprenticeship. So if they've already done a medical assistant apprenticeship, they would not be able to participate in ours. However, they could still apply for a medical assistant role. So I would just encourage them to go to henryfordcareers.com to apply for a medical assistant position.
So what if it wasn't an apprenticeship they did? It was just a program, like a training program for a medical assistant. Would you
I
still
would,
recommend they just
yep,
apply?
I would still
Okay.
encourage it.
And I know you mentioned the locations. With the addition, well, that's a question in itself. Currently, since there's been the joint venture and the
hmm
addition of hospital systems, are these apprenticeships, the current apprenticeships, like strictly still with Henry Ford, or will these extend to the newer locations at some point?
At some point.
Okay.
Yes.
So
Yep.
so right now, today, these apprenticeship opportunities will be for Henry Ford Health locations that are currently in existence in the counties that you mentioned.
Yes, in 2025, that will expand to all 13 of our hospitals. Right now, they're sitting at 5.
Okay.
And then
Someone
we
is
have
asked, oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. And then we have over 550 clinical sites. So for our ambulatory sites, which would be for our medical assistants, those would be the ones in which for medical assistant apprenticeships, those 550 clinical sites would be really, but that would be coupled with those.
So then the medical assistant apprenticeships are at any of the clinical sites and the rest of the
Yes,
apprenticeships are at one of the hospital systems.
correct. Yes.
Okay. And can you tell me the cities for the hospitals again currently?
Yes. One second, please, because I have 13 hospitals now instead of my normal 5 that I used to be able to rattle off very easily. So I have hospitals in Detroit. I have two in Detroit. I have Henry Ford, Maine. I have Henry Ford St. John, Henry Ford Children's. Those are all in Detroit. I have Wyandotte. I have Macomb. I have Warren. I have Madison Heights. And I have East China. I have West Bloomfield. I have, again, Madison Heights. I have Southfield. I have Novi. I have Rochester. I have Jackson, and I think it's Graham, and I have Graham Blank / Fenton.
Okay.
Hey, Nasha, this is
Thank
Keisha.
you.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Um, there, just to go along with that question, a lot of people are asking about how to apply. Um, and Ashley, thank you so much for putting the link in the chat. But if we can kind of address that, what is the process to apply?
To apply for any apprenticeship opportunity, I'll put the email again in the chat. It's career growth and development at Henry Ford Health. Career growth and development at hfhs.org. You'll need to send your resume, and then we'll navigate from there. Some of them are posted online, some of them are not. Our surgical tech apprenticeship is actually internal team members only right now. We haven't extended that to external team members yet.
Thank you, Sheree.
You're welcome.
The other thing about applying, though, is probably mostly everyone on this line is a Michigan Rehabilitation Services customer. If you are and you apply, there's actually a drop down that asks, like, how did you hear about us? And you can put Michigan Rehabilitation, you can click the box for MRS. But there's also working with your counselor who will keep me informed of applications so that I can then follow up and kind of help navigate what that looks like. So if this is an interest and you do have a counselor with Michigan Rehabilitation Services, please reach out to your counselor first before you apply. Because if you apply today and like, I don't know, for another 4 weeks, there's not as much as I can do. But if your counselor knows and then I'm brought in, then I can help along the way as everything is taking place. There may be people who are not connected with Michigan Rehabilitation Services, and that is great also. You can apply online, as Sharia said, or go to the website that she just provided. I'm sorry, the email, career growth and development at hfhs.org, to do anything related to apprenticeships there. Alrighty,
There's a
so
question that says, so did we clear up that there are apprenticeship programs that are taking entry-level, non-medically trained candidates? All of our apprenticeships do require that you are entry-level and have no experience. That's kind of the root of what an apprenticeship is really taking someone that doesn't have any experience in healthcare and training them and helping them grow in their career. So it is a true earn while you learn. So you're learning the position while earning some compensation for doing it.
So Andrew and others, I hope that answers the question around that. Looks like it. Okay. I know you cleared up the question, hopefully, around the surgical tech being you have to be a current employee to
Yes,
do
you do
that.
have to be a team member currently.
Mhm. And I believe there were some questions around how much does an apprentice make in the various apprenticeships?
It varies.
Okay.
So it depends on the apprenticeship. For my MAs and NAs, it starts off for the apprenticeship, it starts at $16 an hour. For my pharmacy tech, it starts at $18.25. For my rad tech, which is it starts at 19. So it just depends on the program. There's a question asking if we do not have
And then there
apprenticeship for medical
were
records or insurance.
questions about, what is the timeline for apprenticeships to apply and get selected?
It varies. It depends on what the leaders have open, and it depends on the cohort. Some cohorts for pharmacy tech, we have not started recruiting for our next cohort yet. We won't start that until probably the week after Thanksgiving. But those folks will be hired no later than December 31st. Can I explain what a cohort is? A cohort is a group of people who are applying at one time or will be starting at one time. So for our nurse assistant apprenticeships, we have 5 to 10 that start every month. For pharmacy techs, I have 9 to 12 that start every cohort, which means they start every 16 weeks. For my surgical tech apprenticeships, those again, once that becomes external, we will only do 2 cohorts per year. For our medical assistant, what we do is they're typically once a semester, so one in the fall, one in the spring. You do not have to be a Henry Ford team member for all apprentices, just for surgical tech.
Okay, Keisha, can you respond, put that in the chat so Kelly understands what was just responded? Thank you. One thing that seems to be coming up a lot too is the education component as it relates to the apprenticeships. I know that they vary depending on what it is, but there seems to be a difference between those who maybe are in a college or some type of community college getting a certification. And then there's, I'm assuming, some in-house training done by Henry Ford Health. Can you explain the educational piece for the apprenticeships?
You have to have a high school diploma. For the medical assistant one, you have to already be in college. So you have to be enrolled in a MA program for medical assistant. The rest of them, you have to have a high school diploma. Does that help?
I think it does.
Yeah, and this is Keisha. Sorry, I just wanted to add a little bit onto that because there have been a lot of questions surrounding that based on, if I'm, went to school for something else, can I go into this program? If you remember what Sharia said earlier, she said these programs are put in place. The apprenticeship program is put in place outside of the medical assistant program for individuals to be able to come in and gain skills and work and be able to become a pharmacy technician. So, whatever your background is, if you have the essential skills and you're able to complete the application, um, and once because Sharia, you will be interviewed, correct?
Yes, you have to go through a normal interview process. And I'm so glad you said that because I think sometimes we get potential team members who will email us and they'll say, "When can I start?" Well,
Right.
just because you email us and say, "Hey, I'm interested in pharmacy tech apprenticeship," that does not mean you get to become a pharmacy tech apprentice. You have to go through a normal interview process. You will once you are interviewed, and then you're extended an offer. Once you are extended an offer, you would then have to go through a background check and a health screening process. What in the world is a health screening process? We do require you to get the flu vaccine. We would require you to get you would have to show your immunization records, TB test, all of that. So there's still a normal hiring process that you would have to go through, just as if you were coming through as a team member for any position at Henry Ford Health.
Thank you, Sharia, for clearing
No,
that up.
no problem.
There's a question about specifically the training as it relates to the pharmacy tech program. You may have answered this, but after the 16 weeks in the classroom, then how many weeks are spent in hands-on training? So I think another one to go along with that is um, what is the length of time that someone would be an apprentice with Henry Ford?
The Department of Labor requires that apprenticeships are 12 months, so you would be an apprentice for 12 months. If in that 12-month process you decided that you want to take a leave of absence or something happens and you're out, no matter what, you have to hit a certain amount of hours to be an apprentice. So they are 12 months. The pharmacy tech training is 16 weeks classroom. The rest of the time is on the job training.
Okay, thank you. And is there a penalty if the person decides, this isn't for me, I don't want to continue with this apprenticeship? Or
No,
are they just kind of done?
no, there's no penalty.
Okay. There's a question around picking locations for a program. are apprentices assigned to locations, or is there an option for an apprentice to choose where they're going to work at?
You absolutely have the choice, but it's also based on availability. So if you live in Wyandotte and I don't have any apprenticeships available in Wyandotte, I'll let you know. I don't have any apprenticeships available in Wyandotte. Are you interested in going to Detroit? And if
Okay.
they say yes, then absolutely, then that's an option for you. But it is also, it's based on availability, but you definitely have the option to say where you're interested in going. Actually, what we do is we will ask you when you email, we'll ask you what location are you interested in. We do not require nicotine testing.
Thank you. That was going to be the next one I asked about. Let's see. Is there anything else? These are good questions. Thank you all who are asking. So considering the fact that where the need, an apprentice can go where the need is, there was a very specific question around like the Genesee County area. It just all depends, correct?
Genesee, the new Henry Ford Health Genesis Hospital does not currently have an apprenticeship program there yet. That
Okay.
is a newly acquired Henry Ford Health facility. I do not have an apprenticeship there yet, not until 2025.
Okay.
Um,
So
this
if you have questions about locations of hospitals, please, if you're working with the a counselor, please follow up with them so I can help navigate those questions, and get answers to you related to anything like, is the apprenticeship offered in this location? If not, then when it is offered there, maybe that is something to potentially look forward to in the future, or start at where there is one, and then the possibility of maybe moving over once it opens up to hospitals that were recently acquired.
There's
now,
a
this is
there's
Keisha. I'm sorry, Sharia, you can go ahead. I can wait.
Oh no, I was just going to answer the question regarding the flu shot. It says you can skip the flu shot, right? A vaccine is required at Henry Ford Health. If you can submit for a medical exemption, but that is subject to approval.
Thank you, Sharia. This is Keisha again. Um, there was a question regarding should I say that I am a part of MRS? Sharia, can you talk about the benefits of a candidate sharing that they are working with MRS?
You absolutely want to tell us that you are working with MRS. What will happen is if you're sending an email or if you're applying for any position that may or may not be an apprenticeship, please use the drop-down menu under referral source, click on community partners, please click MRS. That allows us for the opportunity to connect with Keisha and Nasha, and we'll say, hey, this person, or they can let us know that, this person applied, can you look them up? By doing that, we're able to take your resume and provide it directly to the recruiter who will then connect you to the hiring manager. So it gives us a little bit of a leg up so that you're able to connect a little bit sooner than you may have with the recruiter, which will then
Thank,
connect you with the hiring manager.
thank you.
So there's a new question. Is there a training completion and job obtainment ratio?
Can you explain a bit more about, can you give
So
me a little bit more context of the question?
that's what was asked, but I believe it's like, what's the percentage of people who complete an apprenticeship that then go into work? But we need to understand that an apprenticeship is a job.
It's a job. Absolutely. It is you are a full-time team member at Henry Ford Health, full-time benefits, full-time team member. So it is a job.
So can you okay. So for the purposes of those of you who are working with Michigan Rehabilitation Services, to be honest, for a lot of people though, apprenticeship is new. Most people see apprenticeship as, what we knew way back in the day where it was all skilled trades of plumbing, electrical, journeymans, and things like that. But really anything can be an apprentice, any position. So when we're looking at healthcare specifically, because this is a area that a lot of people probably don't realize have apprenticeship opportunities. Um, can you help us understand how this is a job and not just a training? That you said it, but I just want to make sure people really understand that this is a job.
When you're hired as an apprentice, you're hired into a role. You're not hired into like, it's not an internship. So there's a difference between an internship and an apprenticeship. An apprenticeship, you are learning the job. We're paying for your schooling. We're paying for your certification and or licensure. You are working that position. For example, as a nurse assistant, once you complete your required state hours, I think it's the school that we use for the nurse assistant training, you would have to go through 80 hours total. Then you would go through Henry Ford Health nurse assistant training, and then you go on the floor for additional training. You are set up for success from the very beginning. Probably by your third month, you have your own set of patients. You're not shadowing anyone, you're working on your own, doing the job while learning very specific aspects of that role. You are eligible for full-time benefits. You have CTO, so AKA PTO, time off. You are just as the same team member as someone else on your floor. It is a full-time position. You're eligible for tuition reimbursement, benefits, everything.
Thank you. I hope if there was any questions about that may have clarified, but apprenticeship is employment.
There is a question that says, what if I already have an NA license and want to do the apprenticeship? I would encourage you not to. If you have an NA certification already, just go to henryfordcareers.com and apply for an NA role. Once you've applied for an NA role, let Keisha or Nasha know. They'll let me know, and then we'll be able to get you to the appropriate recruiter for your application. Please make sure that if you do apply, you go to referral source, you go to community partners, and you put in MRS as your referral source.
Thank you, Shreya.
No problem.
Yes, there's a comment. That's helpful information. It seems like a better option than just schooling without the income. Absolutely. Are the career paths you showed for the apprenticeships available to any team member at Henry Ford or only apprentices?
They're for any team member at Henry Ford Health.
So there's a very specific question that says, I'm retired, so I'm older. So the likelihood of me getting hired is slim. That's the question?
It is not slim. We hire everyone, doesn't matter your age, as long as you're 18 or over.
Is there a commitment to work at Henry Ford after completing an apprenticeship? So I did a medical assistant, or let's say a pharmacy tech apprenticeship, and now I have to stay at Henry Ford for 3 years in order to not have to like reimburse someone. Is that something that Henry Ford does?
For my pharmacy tech, you'd have to stay with me for at least 2 years.
Okay.
For some of them, some of them they have stipulations, some don't. However, we don't typically see people leave our apprenticeship programs. Once they're at Henry Ford Health, they tend to stay, especially once we have invested the growth and development opportunities. Once they see that, and then they also see the other opportunities that we have available, whether it's tuition reimbursement, whether it's discounted programming that we have with University of Detroit Mercy, it's for them to continue with their career growth, they tend to stay with us. Yes, you can apply for more than one program, and we do offer referral bonuses.
Okay, so you said a person can apply to multiple programs at once. How does that work?
If someone is interested to say if they're interested in pharmacy tech and nurse assistant, yeah, you can apply for both of them. It just depends on which one you're offered and which one you accept. That's just like you could apply to a nurse assistant, a medical assistant. You could apply to, we have people that apply for multiple roles at the same time, so that we don't tell you can only apply for one. You can only do one, but you can apply to as many as you like.
Okay.
Thank you. Sorry about that, Ezekiel. I got that wrong.
Are there built-in pay raises during the apprenticeship or only after you complete it?
It's after you complete it.
And then, okay, so for the current apprenticeships, those 5 hospitals, I think people just want to make sure they understand where they are currently offered at. What are the 5 hospitals they're currently offered at?
Henry Ford Macomb, Henry Ford West Bloomfield, Henry Ford Wyandotte, Henry Ford Detroit. Henry, did I say West Bloom?
Mm-hmm.
West Bloom, Detroit, Wyandotte, Macomb, and there are some in the Jackson area.
Is a hospital system in Jackson?
Yes, we have a
Okay,
hospital in Jackson.
thank you. Oh, I think someone put it in there. Macomb, you're missing one, Ashley. Macomb, West Bloomfield. Okay. I saw this earlier and someone asked again, is the classroom portion in person? So is this a hybrid type of apprenticeship? Is everything in person?
It is in person. So you would have to, for our nurse assistant one, you have to go into the classroom. For our pharmacy tech one, you have to be in the classroom. Typically the classroom there's 2 spaces. There's a virtual classroom, but is actually like your orientation would be on site. For the classroom, like the classes, the instructor actually comes to the various locations. You rotate kind of where you go, but everything is in person.
Okay, thank you.
No
And
problem.
Ezekiel, if you are working with someone at Michigan Rehabilitation Services, the first thing I want you to do is connect with that counselor who will then bring me in so we know that this is taking place. If you are not working with anyone at Michigan Rehabilitation Services and you do not have to be, then you would go directly through that career growth and development at hfhs.org.
I would encourage, if they are working, to just maybe, Nasha, maybe we can figure out maybe a list of those who are interested.
Yep.
That way it'll make it a little bit more of a seamless process for them as well. So it can be more candidate friendly.
You are exactly right. And I forgot my QR code for that. So there was going to be an interest thing and I forgot to do it. So when you get the follow-up with the recording, there'll be in there a QR code. If you are interested in any of the opportunities with Henry Ford Health in the apprenticeships, there'll be a code of interest. You just scan it and fill it out so that we can kind of know who's interested and assist through the process if you're working with MRS. Can a person reapply if they apply for an apprenticeship and for whatever reason they don't get it? And it says, will a reason for not being accepted be given? For the second half of that question, that's one of the reasons why if a person's working with our agency and I know about it, we may be able to get some of that feedback. If we don't know that someone has applied and maybe did not move any further, we can't give that feedback. And Sharia, I'll defer to you for can the person reapply?
A person can reapply, absolutely.
All right, so I think we're at 157. There may be one question left. Shreya, this is the last one that I see. Just for clarification, just in your resume, about the apprenticeship you're interested in.
I would encourage you to connect with your MRS person so that they can they'll be able to connect you with Nasha and Keisha so that we can be able to work through the process together. I like to make sure that it is as candidate friendly as possible. That way you're not lost in our email box.
All righty.
Anasha,
Yeah.
this is Keisha. Do you have a slide with your contact information?
I can put it up, yes.
Yep.
Nash and Keisha, it looks like some questions regarding MRS are in the chat too.
Yep, I just saw that.
Okay.
So we can definitely, I'm about to put my information up now, my contact info. And I'm sorry, I'm trying to get the slide up.
While Nasha is working on that, Sharia, just thank you so much. As you can see within the chat, there were so many questions. So I hope this is saying from this group that they are really interested. And the information was a lot. But as we break this down, I'm hoping we can get a lot of these interested candidates connected to you.
Absolutely. Thank you for inviting me and kind of giving the opportunity to discuss our apprenticeship opportunities at Henry Ford Health.
No
Nasha, are
problem.
you sharing your screen?
I'm about to share it right now.
Okay.
Sorry. And this will also be in the follow-up with the recording and other information that goes out. So if you need to reach out or have questions, feel free to reach out to me. And here it is. Oops. Right at 2 o'clock. That's not showing yet, is it?
It is not.
Okay. All right. Oh my goodness.
Can you just put your email in the chat?
I'm
please?
trying to. My compute technology is not working right now, Keisha.
I'm
It really
gonna
isn't.
I'm gonna put my email in the chat if anybody have any questions.
It really is just not working. My screen just froze on me.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, it's because, Thank you, Ashley. I really appreciate you for that.
Oh, look at that.
So yeah, right now I can't do anything but stare at a fuzzy screen because it won't let me share. We appreciate the time you took today to be with us. You guys had great questions. We hope your questions got answered. And if you between now and next Monday, you will receive the follow-up email with the recording, contact information, the videos that were that could not be shared earlier. I'll include that in there, the email address, and we will hopefully get some interest, and we will follow up with you once we have that info. Again, thank you, Sharia, for taking time out of your busy schedule. We greatly appreciate it. And we hope to see you all soon.
No problem.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.